It was. Is on.
Yes, Zamorano, I am miserable, and voting is coming up. But before we get to voting, Ruby, will you go ahead and go to my amigos of the Jimmy Dore Show so I can thank some of our Patreons? Do you see those Patreons? Look at all those Patreons. Oh no, no, go back. You gotta go. Don't move yet. I gotta. No worries. Ruby's helping me out. Okay, so I'm gonna go and I want to thank our Patreons, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go. You're good. I have Brett, Kelly, Richard, again Richard, Lance, Antonia, Eric, Leaf, Kevin, Marshall, Michael, Andre, Nancy. Is that Ionis? Roberto or Robert? Janine, Patricia, Toonsy, really Toonsy, Samuel, Joseph. So every so often we want to go ahead and thank our Patreons, and we're trying to do that at the very beginning of all of our live streams. Paul, Miguel, Carl, Jesus, Sybil, Janine, John, Philippe, Jason, Ariel, Mal, Forrest, Christian, James, Wilson, Maja, Tyler, Mari Rose, Z Fresh. Next list, please. I think I'm reading the right ones. I think I am. Yes, I am. Jamie, Kevin, Joseph, Francois, Rachel, Robert, Terrence, Val, Kate, Leroy, Brett, Cameron, Iowanda, Kathleen, Bob, J. Rose, Mark, Marwan, Teresa, Sean, Enrico, Matt, Eric, Frederick, Hakam, or is it Hakam? Jeffrey, Clifford, Guy, or is it Guy? Donna, Imogen, Jennifer, Sarah, Roderick, Joseph, Travis, Tom, Joshua, Linda, James, Christopher, Snotty, pronounced Snotty, Bruno, Casey, next list. Aziz, Coach Twitty Basketball, Kenneth, Mr. Big Dick, Mandy, Stefan, Scott, Jeremy, Creed, Susan, Steve, Michael, Sue, Mary Jane, Rachel, Russ, Sultan of the Senses, Kevin, and then X, and Boris, Michael, Kevin, Tom, Carlos Murphy, Matthew, Bill, Tad, Joseph, Sean, Carl, Christopher, Martha, Anthony, Carol, Colin, Zoran, David, Ross, Brandon. Is that my list? Do I have another one? Is that it? We got one more. Did we hit it? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. No worries, no worries. Go to the next slide, Sugar Pie. All right. Vote like your rights depend on it, ladies and gentlemen. And what's our next slide? What do you got for me? You know what? I love this, and they shared it last week. And it's vote to end mass incarceration, vote for immigrant rights, vote for reproduction freedom, vote for racial justice, vote to expand the right to vote, vote for police accountability, no kidding, vote for LGBTQ rights, vote for net neutrality, vote for disability rights, vote to end solitary confinement, vote for juvenile justice, vote for the right to privacy, vote to legalize marijuana, vote for free speech, vote to end mandatory minimums, vote like your rights depend on it. Huh? Vote like your rights depend on it. That's scary. I think we're going to try to cover in California some of the ballot issues that we're going to be voting on. But I want to go to this next story until Jimmy walks in the room. Go ahead. Let me see the title of the next story. And it's, okay, this one caught my eye, because I am miserable. Idaho elementary teachers dressed up as Mexicans and the border wall for Halloween. That's some fun stuff, right? Right? Did you see this yet? Have any of you seen it? Okay, get this. Ready? Go to the next slide. Another day, another racist costume. This is from Middletown School District in Idaho. And Unholy Hiding says, please call 208-585-3027 to say, 1, racism is unacceptable. 2, they are creating and promoting a hostile learning environment for children. And 3, what is their plan to make it right? Next slide. Look at this picture. You see this? These are grown adults at a school, an elementary school. And look how patriotic they are. They have the American flag behind their wall that they built. And the wall reads, "Make America Great Again." These are real grown-ups. These are real people. Look at the next slide. Ah, a depiction of my people. Look at that. Look at that. Mustaches, sombreros. They have their beautiful colorful. Oh my God, it's awful. It's awful. Can you believe that? These are real grown adults. All right, back to me. All right, so a couple people said, okay, so the superintendent weighed in on the issue in the Huffington Post article, and this is what he said. This is Dr. Josh Milton, which is weird that that's his name. Is that really his last name? The district superintendent states, "Do I think there was malicious intent in this poor decision? No, I don't think." He doesn't think that there was, no, I don't. He doesn't believe that there was malicious intent. Malicious intent. He doesn't believe that them dressing up in these costumes behind a wall was malicious at all. Was there poor judgment involved? Absolutely. That's ridiculous. And then Vote Blue said to Save America, teachers dressing up as Trump's border wall during a Halloween party. 12.9% of Middleton Heights Elementary School are Hispanic and Latino. Teaching students as bigotry and hate is reprehensible. Superintendent Josh Middleton, they should lose their jobs. You know, I'm uncomfortable with the idea that the quick resolution to the issue is to fire these people. They said that they were staff members. I haven't read anything about specifically where they're staff and faculty members, where they're teachers. You know, I'm not sure who these people were in this photo. I'm uncomfortable when we encourage others to fire people. I know. I think it's more complicated than just firing. That's an issue in this community. So is it the dominant culture that is influencing their behavior? Back to that photo. Look at that. These are in the midst of a caravan of people traveling from South America to come and seeking asylum. That these kind of costumes, I don't. What a disappointment. It's 2018. Back to me. I don't know if you know this, but in the 1960s there was we historically get rid of people in America. Historically, you know, we historically just get rid of them. And in the 1960s, I think there was. It's too awful to even say, but it was called Operation Wetback. And they got rid of the Hispanics, Mexicans, and they just got rid of them. And how American it's called, Operation Wetback. That's a real thing, look it up. Another tweet said, call, write, email, do whatever you need to do to let this superintendent dude know that these weren't regrettable choices made by otherwise respectable educators. They were racist choices made by racists. And if you want to weigh in, his email address is jmiddleton@msd134.org. That's jmiddleton@msd134.org. All right, let's go to the next slide. I think it's just the end of the. There we go, click it. All right, so let me go to the super chat. JD will be back in the room at some point. What do we got going here, ladies and gentlemen? All right, I think I have one. No, I think I have the right one. Live stream. Got it. Finally got it. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, you have a lot. The chat is like really. This is from Joe. Joan, it said, Jade, you say fire those fuckers, all of them. What do you need me to do on my mic? You want to go back to me? Yeah, you can go back to me. Yeah, since I'm talking. I don't think thank you. We're working on a shoestring budget. I don't. Racism in America. You know, that's the whole idea. You know, I remember. Well, who doesn't remember racism in America? Okay. We got the first question that says, this is from Plain Glass Windows. Jimmy, do you think you can start PSAs for your viewers about elected progressives who might be turning coat on key votes before they happen? It's a great recommendation. I don't know if we have but we'll see what we can do. Maybe you should make it and send it to us. Gavin Fuller, what are your thoughts on Beto or Rourke? We'll find out later. Rick Ganji says 49ers cheerleader took a knee during the anthem Thursday evening. We saw that. We actually saw a photo of that, and I thought that was pretty, that is pretty courageous. If anybody who's taking a knee on the field, when you have a whole stadium full of people that are otherwise there to cheer on, a football game, good for that cheerleader to show that kind of grit and resiliency on the field. I'm sure that was no easy thing. Hey, what the hell is going on? Question mark. Nah, I don't really care. Just saying hello. That's from Dan. Dan, what the hell's going on? That's funny. Arno, who are you on right now? Are you back on me? You're good there. Okay. Tom Ashley, are you back on me? Tom Ashley says, how is that bigotry and hate? The wall isn't racist, and those people aren't asylum seekers. They're economic immigrants by admission. Tom, I think if you... I guess, next year when they dress up in their white hoods and start burning crosses on in the front of the school, that's probably their next costume. Maybe they said, we'll save that to next year. Maybe they should dress up like Nazis and have all the kids who are Jews at their school wear the yellow stars. How about that? Why don't we do that? So, you're right. You're right, Tom. That's not bigotry. That's not hate. Dressing up and making fun of 12% of your population of the school side. No big deal. I got you, Tom. That's crazy. You know what? From non-applicable, Steph is my spirit animal. I love it. I'll take that. I take that completely. All right, let's go back over here. Hey, how are you doing, JD? JD will be there in a sec. Okay, here we go. Like button now. I like that, Mike Lohman. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you getting ready to vote? Did you vote? Did you mail in your ballots? Ruby, Ron, and I, we went over the propositions here in California. We reviewed them, and we're going to be talking about some of those issues. Did we really review? Yeah. Ruby and I last Saturday, after we did the live stream. It was last Saturday, right? Yeah, we went through props 1 through 12, and I had a couple. You did? That's great. We're going to review them. I love that. And, we'll see how many people are turning out. Just an update on our friend Tim Canova.
He's got a real chance to win.
Say that on the mic, Jimmy, so that people can hear you.
Tim Canova.
Okay, hold on.
So Tim Canova's got a real hang on. Oh, you can come to me.
All right. Jimmy Dore is in the room. He's feeling under the weather, and I'm happy to see you, Jimmy.
Hi, I am. So I've been sick since we came home from Italy, and I thought it was just the flu for the longest time. Steph came home; she had the flu, so she took a Z-Pack or whatever.
My mom made me.
And so I did it, and then I was still sick a week later, so I'm like, oh, maybe I'll take a Z-Pack. So I did, and a week later I was still sick, so I went to the doctor. I know this is boring. I went to the doctor on Monday. She said I have bronchitis and an ear infection. And I feel the ear infection. Anyway, so she put me on antibiotics, and here we are 5 days later, I'm still exactly the same. So I haven't done shows all week. The last show I did was the live chat last Saturday, and I thought I was getting better last Saturday, and then right in the middle of that show, I felt it hit me, and all the energy drained out of me, and it was like a race to finish that show. And so normally, anyway, I haven't done any videos this whole week. I dropped the Jill Stein video that we had previously recorded, and but I haven't done anything this whole week because I've been trying to rest and get better, but it's not working. I'm not getting any better. So I'm back to the doctor on Monday. I think I'm gonna have to go to some kind of specialist. But I just have no energy, and so otherwise I would work, but I just. So anyway, so that's what's been going on. Just in case. So people are like, hey, how come you've been doing videos this week? Where do you take it off? And it feels horrible too because we were off for, 2 weeks or whatever when we were on vacation. and we didn't do videos then, and then here we are again. I get sick. That's the whole freaking time I've been home. I've been sick.
Pragmatic cynicism says your immune system is overwhelmed by all the bullshit.
Hey, I bet you're right. Did I get it? Okay. I bet you are right. I bet you are right. I know I haven't been sleeping right. But anyway, again, this is all very indulgent to talk about. But I just want to let people know why I haven't done shows. And so I wanted to at least, and I'm still sick as a dog. We were supposed to have Lee Camp on yesterday, and he's in town. He was in Los Angeles. We were supposed to do a show together last night, Lee Camp and I, in Los Angeles with Rick Overton at the El Cid. I was so looking forward to doing that. I was so looking forward to doing that. Oh. And anyway, a chance to do stand-up in my hometown in front of a like-minded audience with other comedians that are like-minded is just a dream come true. And then I couldn't do it because I was too sick. And I was so bummed. Anyway, so I haven't done shows this whole week. And I just wanted to make sure, even though I'm sick, I wanted to make sure we did this for our patrons. And I think it's adorable because I make the same. I always end up saying I call them Patreons, but our Patreons. But I think they're called patrons, right? I do the same. Steph does the same thing. It's adorable when she does it. So I wanted to make sure we did a show for our patrons. Just because we were out of town for all that time and we haven't, and so here I am. And if I pass out in the middle, you'll know why. Okay. So of course I like to start every show with this.
Maybe it affects their ratings. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to that, but I do know that when you look at guys like Jimmy Dore, for example.
Yes.
Jimmy Dore talks about a lot of things that you'll never hear if you flick on the TV, on the cable news channels, and has very interesting conversations. And again, bringing facts and different things to life that people don't otherwise feel like they have access to.
That's just a nice way to start the show. That's odd. So that's how I like starting shows. And so, I would like to get on. I'd like to do more live streams. They're fun for some reason. I don't know what. It's the same camera, same room, same everything, except there's a different energy to this show than other shows. Maybe because because we stop and start all the time with the other shows. I'll stop. Hey, let me look something up. Stop. Hey, I think I need to get a video. Stop. We stop all the time. But these we don't. We keep going. So although we are going to take a break, we're going to have a guest coming up later today, talking about public banking. It's on the ballot to get a public bank in Los Angeles. And now the stat I saw was that Los Angeles gives to Wall Street over $1 billion, like $1.1 million to Wall Street in fees and stuff. And if we had a public bank, that wouldn't happen. So, which means that money would stay here instead of going into an offshore account of some hedge fund manager or whatever. So, or Jamie Dimon's offshore bank account. That's where that $1 billion will go. So instead, we can keep it right here. I think that's the idea. So I'm going to have an expert's coming on the show.
Which is very stressful.
Let me see. Our friend Jay Ponte set me up. Jay Ponte did the Divest LA. He's part of that. And the person coming over is... Oh, I don't know. He didn't give me her whole name. He just said Madeline.
Okay, Madeline will be our surprise
Madeline
guest
will be
later.
Here, our surprise guest, but Madeline is coming from our good friend Jay Ponte, who is a big activist involved in lots of stuff. He gets a lot of stuff done. And he's quite an organizer. Organizing is a skill, just like anything. And, you got to be able to know how to work with people and get people to do things, and you have to know when to be annoying at the right time and not, and all that stuff. It's the stick in the what is that called? The stick or the.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of that right now. Look it up.
Carrot and stick. That's it.
Oh, that's what it is.
Carrot and stick is the saying. Couldn't think of it. Carrot. So that's that. That goes back to trying to get a horse go. You hang a carrot in front of its head, or you can whip it. So you're kind of trying to friendly entice. Hey, look. This make great Christmas gifts, by the way, or what do you call them? Holiday. What do you call them? Holiday gifts.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, that's the technical term, Jimmy. I think holiday gifts.
So I say Happy Holidays. Sometimes I slip and say Merry Christmas. I'll never forget when my brother was in the hospital when we were in our 20s, and his doctor was, Dr. Rosenstein or something like that. And I remember wishing him a Merry Christmas, and then the elevator doors closing, and I'm going, it's fuck. But I was in, I was like probably 21 years old. I was like, oh, I didn't have much association with people who were not Christians. And so that would be one of them. I don't know if people, I didn't knowingly meet a Jewish person until I was I guess I met some in college. I must have met Jewish people in college. I must have, now that I think about it. But maybe not. I mean, I must had to have. But in comedy, of course, get into comedy. And so anyway, I don't know why that even came up.
I just wanted to say really quickly, Jimmy, we started to segue because we were talking about Tim Canova.
Oh, Tim Canova.
If that's all right.
Yeah. So Tim Canova's got a real chance to win. There was a GOP. Oh, by the way, how do you like this video?
A bombshell. Booze for Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Caught red-handed sabotaging a grassroots campaign.
She helped rig a primary against Bernie Sanders.
And how is she not kicked out of? Those people aren't kicked out of politics. No one even talks about it. That Hillary Clinton was, no one even talks about that stuff. I mean, the media is so easily manipulated, but they're willing participants. That's the whole thing. They're willing participants. It's just amazing. There's no price to pay for that. No price to pay for Donna Brazil revealing that the entire thing was rigged. That Hillary Clinton was actually running the DNC at the time. Not only were they not neutral, she was running it. If they wanted to have a press release, they had to run it past her first. And all that money they said they were raising for down-ballot races didn't go to down-ballot races. She was actually bankrupting the party while she was funneling that money to Brooklyn, her campaign. That doesn't get talked about. It's just amazing. Come on, that is amazing, right? I don't know. I just think it's amazing. Okay, so...
Well, I just wanted to point out last weekend when we were talking about Tim Canova, that there was somebody tweeted at me a picture of Debbie Wasserman Schultz with Brenda Snipes.
Yes.
And Brenda Snipes is the woman
that had elections who was found to be in violation, that illegally destroyed the ballots. And nothing happened.
She illegally destroyed the ballots and continues to hang out with Debbie Wasserman Schultz before this election.
For this election, they're hanging out.
How is Brenda Snipes? How is Debbie Wasserman Schultz all not serving time right now?
I mean, how is the fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz isn't a pariah inside? People, again, I always like to make the point, when she cheated, she didn't cheat the Russians. She didn't cheat the Republicans. She didn't cheat the deplorables. She cheated half of her own party. That's who she was cheating. I think that's the part people forget. She was sure she was cheating Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders represented something, and that's who she was cheating. So anyway, so Tim Canova, there was a story written about it now. Finally, we covered it. Pretty sure we covered it, that there was a poll done by a GOP pollster that found the GOP guy to be running third, and Tim Canova and Debbie Wasserman Schultz are tied. So vote for Tim Canova. Wouldn't that be amazing? An independent goes outside the two-party system and takes down the the poster child for corruption inside the Democratic Party, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That would be amazing if Tim Canova could do that. And he's poised, according to this unreleased GOP poll, he is poised to do that. So that would be, so everybody, if you can help out Tim Canova, go to timcanova.com, donate, volunteer, phone bank, whatever you do. You remember how big of a deal it was when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez knocked off Joe Crowley? This would be a bigger shockwave than that, I think, even. Because he's coming from outside the party, the two-party system. And he's knocking off the most connected, corrupted, neoliberal, in bed with corporations, saturated with, as you could be, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. With power, by the way. With power. She was the head of the DNC. People forget that. Can you imagine? I mean, that's how corrupt the Democrats are. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the head of it. Hey, by the way, and Tom Perez, I just read a story where he's flying in jets given to him by donors. And who are those donors? Those donors are people who are anti-progressive. I have to get the story. I just read the story almost a couple minutes before I came in there about how he was on a jet with this billionaire landlord guy who's being sued in trouble for discriminating against Latinos. So anyway, I'll get to that. I'll get that story. Well, hopefully I'll be well on Monday and we can cover it then. Lauren Steiner had a great video. I didn't have time to put in today's show. She went down to a Democratic event with Tom Perez, wanted to ask him a few questions. She was going down to help get the word out, actually, according to her.
Yes.
And it's a funny bit. Tom Perez just totally snubbed her. And, you know, I would like, nothing better I would like than the Democratic Party to reform itself and become uncorrupted and actually represent the people, you know, the least thing it's supposed to do, represent the interests of the people who vote for it. I would love for that to happen. Hey, you know, again, and I could be wrong, I'm by far the smartest guy in the room, so all evidence it points the other way. That if the Democrats do take over the House, the leader's going to be Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, who said her number one priority is Trump's taxes, and she's already going to pay-go, which means you can't do anything progressive. And she's not on board for Medicare for all. I don't even. So the Democrat again. Yes, again, it's better to have Democrats in power than crazy. But do you understand this? Who was it who said, it was Hunter S. Thompson who said, you know, the trouble with voting for lesser of two evils is that the two parties could set it up that way. Real easy to set it up that way. Which is exactly what Hillary Clinton was revealed to be doing by the WikiLeaks emails when she did the Pied Piper strategy. That's you setting it up that way. Hey, I know I'm repulsive and people hate me. Let's find someone more repulsive. Let's prop them up. Let's make the race between us. Between me and a criminal clown. So, anyway, it doesn't seem to be happening, is what I'm saying. Is the progressive takeover of the party? For instance, I texted my friend. Yeah, you can.
I just want to say that, you know, when you're talking about the progressive takeover of the party, okay, good luck, right? I know where we stand on this. But when we have one guy like Tim Canova,
right, and
who
every
is facing the machine,
why isn't everybody tweeting about this guy?
Yeah, this is the race, everybody.
What?
This is the race right now, though. Like, if you feel like helpless and like you're not involved and you need to help somebody, you got an extra buck, send it to Tim Canova. That's what I think.
Yeah, why isn't every celebrity instead of... I think Bonnie McFarlane, who's very funny, she tweeted out today, hey, Hey, I'm having a hard time getting an answer on this. Am I supposed to vote? I think that's high, but I might have butchered it, but that's what sentiment of her tweet was made me laugh. Am I supposed having a hard time getting an answer on this?
That's hilarious.
The problem wasn't that people forgot to vote in 2016. That wasn't the problem. The problem was they weren't motivated to vote. That's the problem. And so every time I see a well-meaning celebrity urging people to remember to vote, I wish they would. It's at this also. In addition to that, urge politicians to give people a reason to vote. How about also do a tweet or a Facebook post or a video that tells your political class to stop being in bed with corporations? How about also say that? How about stop being so corrupt so people think that it matters when they vote? How about that? So the choice, I mean, literally, the choice was between Donald Trump, an overt racist, and Hillary Clinton, who called black kids super predators. Come on, she wasn't 14 when she fucking did that. She was the first lady. Anyway, so, I don't even know. So, I asked my friend Nick Brana, who's
Friend of the show.
doing movement for the People's Party, and I asked him, hey, besides Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, how many corporate Democrats were successfully primaried this year? And he said 2. In all of, that's it, 2? And so he said so there was Ocasio-Cortez who unseated Joe Crowley, who was number 3 in power in line in the House. That's why that was a big deal. And the other one was Ayanna Pressley. So although the guy or the that she ousted, everyone said was pretty progressive, even though he did take corporate money. So, and then we showed you the unfortunate video of her defending Hillary Clinton. She defeated Mike Capuano. He was a 10-term incumbent. So that's 2. So Ayanna Pressley and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now here in California, we tried to get rid of our senator, Dianne Feinstein. We weren't successful. Kevin De Leon. And so I'm going to vote for Kevin De Leon. Because you only get to vote for 2. You only get 2 choices. You can't have a third party or a fourth party or a fifth party running in the state elections here in California, because they have a rule. It's a screwy system. Everybody's in one primary. You don't get to have your own party primaries. And then, so then the top 2 vote getters in the primary then go head to head in the general. And those 2 people could be from the same party. Isn't that fucked up? It's a screwed up system. So I'll probably vote for Kevin De Leon. Well, let's get to some of that. But first, let's get to this. So everybody remember Tim Canova, and this is such a big deal that he has a chance.
Because it was stolen from him
Because
the
it
first
was
time.
Yes. And he's running as a freaking independent. No party support whatsoever. Almost a media blackout. And he's neck and neck with her. And Gillum's going around, hanging out with her. That hurts him. If you want Gillum to be elected, which I do, I would want Gillum to be elected over DeSantis, you would urge him to stop doing stuff like that. Now, some people will watch me say that and think, why are you attacking Gillum? I swear to God, that's what people do. It's nuts. It's weird. It's weird. I guess it goes to the territory of this show being popular. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. But I had a lot of practice getting used to it. people criticizing me. I grew up in a big family, and even when I told people I was moving, even when I told my people I was moving to Los Angeles, I was already a comedian in Chicago, and I'd already gotten on TV from Chicago. I think that's no small feat. I had already gotten it, even at the Improv and Caroline's Comedy Hour, and something on Comedy Central. I'm from Chicago. So anyway, when I told people I was moving to LA to pursue comedy, even some of my comedian friends shit on me for it. Who do you think you are? All that kind of stuff.
What do you think you're gonna do there?
Yeah.
Who else moves to LA? Like, what? If not you, I always, because I met you through comedy, and like whenever I would meet these people, and I'd look at them and go like, "Where'd you come from?" "Oh, I came from Chicago." "Oh my God, you decided to make this huge move." Like that's fearless to me. I grew up in California. I'm a native to LA.
I was fearful. I was full of fear, but I my fear of not doing it. Like I just, there's lots of fine, funny comedians that I started with that never moved to New York or Los Angeles, and I don't understand that. I heard it. I don't understand that. I just, but they make a living, and they love doing comedy, and I guess I understand that. They just never moved. So they just whatever. They had families. Some of them had families or what have you. I just knew. I always knew I was gonna. Once I got in comedy, I always knew where I was going. Just anyway. So I just wanted to show everybody this. Alec Baldwin, he's in police custody after punching a guy in the face over a parking spot, allegedly. I freaking love that guy. I love that he's such a hothead. He's such a hothead. He is such a hothead. I get it. But he released a statement saying that that it's false that he did not punch someone in the face over a parking spot. But that's all. But that's all. So what I read into that is, yeah, I punched a guy in the face, but not over a parking spot. It started over a parking spot, but that's not why I punched him. Right? So that's that's how it started. But so here, and then he got booked, and then they're all waiting for him. Here's from CBS New York. Watch, they're all waiting for him as he comes walking out. He turned it up.
Anything to say about what happened?
And do you notice, by the way, he has that James Caan walk. You ever done? He has a very distinct walk. It's almost like his hips don't move, or his leg is extra. I think it's like his hips don't move, right? So he kind of moves. Watch how he walks. But it's funny, he doesn't say a goddamn thing. What are you gonna say? He should say hi. Look at he still seems angry. He still seems upset. Look how he walks. So James Caan walks like that. You know who else I saw walk like that was Ed Harris. I was coming out of CBS, but I used to be over at CBS all the time. I used to live right next to it.
Back to me. Jimmy, you'll feel better shortly. I just think it's funny that, one, I always think it's weird that a celebrity gets pulled over for a DUI, because I'm like, with all the access in the world that you have to a car and somebody driving for you, why are you getting a DUI? And then, like, if a parking spot, I'm like, why are you parking your car? I mean, don't you have gazillions of money? That's my position.
Yeah, Alec, what are you doing? You don't have a driver?
You don't have the valet. Go.
You have a TV show on the air right now. You've been on TV forever. You've been in movies. You did those bank commercials for Capital One. What's in your wallet? How about you should... How about, can you use an Uber? Can you use a Can't you grab a? Don't you don't have a black car waiting for you everywhere you go? Why is he driving in Manhattan? Who's that for? Anyway, why do you have a car? Walk, and it's like his hip is immobile. Like his hip. What? Like he's very stiff. He's a stiff walker. Maybe that's it. Is that he's stiff?
He's a stiff walker. I've never heard that term before, but I think you're right. He's a stiff walker.
Yeah, let me try to figure it out in my head. Yeah, that's it. He's stiff walking. That's it. He's stiff.
He's staying in control.
He's stiff walking. It's like he's afraid his back's gonna go out in a second, right? It looks like he's trying to brace himself in case, so he doesn't move in a certain way, kind of keep his spine straight. Watch how he.
Anything to say about what happened?
Am I making too much out of this? There's a good chance I'm making too much out of the way Alec Baldwin walks. But I don't know, stuff like that I obsess over.
Listen, I love Alec Baldwin. I get a kick out of him. I think he's hilarious in comedies. I think he's terrific. And we watched, I think we mentioned this about the show when he was interviewing De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. One of the most boring interviews I've ever seen in my life. People say Alec Baldwin, the reason he got that show is he does a podcast, I guess, where he interviews people, and I guess it's really good. He does a really good job. But, while I love Robert De Niro and I love Alec Baldwin as actors and things, I don't know, Steph, I share your critique that it was pretty boring.
Best part was when Alec Baldwin did a impression of De Niro right to his face, and it was fantastic.
Alec Baldwin did an impression of Robert De Niro, and he nailed it. That was great. Just do the rest of the interview. Just
have De Niro interviewing De Niro, please.
Yeah, do dueling De Niro's would be great. All right. So today we have, like I said, coming in at 3, we're going to talk about public banking, and so we'll probably release that interview as a regular video on our regular channel. We did a lot of great videos last week, but I didn't drop any of them because I just wanted to make that available to our our patrons.
We got really good comments right now at the very beginning of the show that everybody was thanking you for the Jill Stein interview.
Oh, I'm glad people like that.
So that was a pretty big deal. We were excited to see Jill. Ruby's gonna go wait outside for our guest.
Okay, good.
If that's cool, and then she'll bring him back in momentarily when he arrives, or she arrives rather. All right, JD, I just want to read something really quick.
Hey, have Ruby text us when they get here.
Okay.
Or
She will.
So I wanted to talk. You wanted to what, Steph?
Somebody had requested, because we started the show when you were out of the room, I was talking about the Idaho teachers who were
oh my God,
dressed up in Mexican costume in the wall, and then there were a lot of just a lot of comments that were happening about America and racism and all that stuff. And one of our donors asked if I would read the quote from the Statue of Liberty written by Emma Lazarus. And I just want to say, in quote, it says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp upon the golden door."
Wow, that's pretty powerful. That's what our country's supposed to be. The founding fathers didn't slaughter the Indians for nothing, right? It was supposed to make this this is supposed to be a home for immigrants. I mean, this is what this is, right? I mean, after they unbelievably did the horrific genocide on the Native Americans, um, this was, and they don't even do that now. It's just like, it's just again, this may be a good reason to transition to what I want to talk about next. So the election of how do you say his name? Bolsonaro?
Bolsonaro. Let me
Bolsonaro?
look. Let me look.
Bolsonaro?
It's all right. Go ahead.
In Brazil, is more frightening than you think. People are equating him to Trump. He's much worse than Trump. He's talking about eliminating the left in his country. He comes from the military. He was a captain when the military ran the country. They've only been a democracy since the mid-'80s. And so Glenn Greenwald is here. He has a lot of ideas on why this happened. And but first of all, before I get to that, let me go to the voter guide. Because this is really, what he has to say here is really, it's super interesting. And I've been reading a lot about what's been going on in Brazil. And, it seems again like the leftist party didn't deliver. They're full of corruption. And the people in the country felt the establishment was unbelievably out of touch. And that Bolsonaro, offered a way to, it was very, very much like the Brexit vote, the Trump vote. People wanted to smash the system. They they hated the elite. He claimed to also hate them and be their enemy. So they were crossing their fingers and, oh my God, I hope this works out, and voting for him. That was one faction of people in Brazil. And so Glenn has a lot more to say about that, but I wanted to, hang on, I want to get to this. Oh. Well, I'll do a longer, hopefully if I'm well,
right.
I'll do a longer video about this. Democrats are panicked that Latinos don't turn out to vote, but not enough to talk to them about it. So this is a great article, or a great piece by Ida Chavez. This is from October 26th in The Intercept. And I'll just show you one little part of it. She says more than half of Latinos nationwide haven't been contacted by a political party or a campaign about voting or registering to vote, according to the Naleo Education Fund Latino Decision Poll. 64. Here's the part that really got me. 64% of Latinos reported not being sure what the Democratic Party stands for.
Does anybody know what the Democratic Party stands for right now? Does Tom Perez know what the Democratic Party stands for?
We stand for everybody having a chance. We stand for justice, and nobody's above the law, including the president. We stand for equality of opportunity for everybody. No, that's what they say.
Those are great platitudes.
When you ask them what they stand for, that's what they say. That they don't say anything.
And when they say universal health care?
They say for access to affordable health care. No, Medicare for all.
That's progressive.
Yes.
Medicare for all. That's progressive.
Steph, it's not even progressive Medicare for all. It's what do you call a policy that is embraced by 9 out of 10 Democrats and now the majority of Republicans? That's not a lefty or progressive. That's a populist program. That's unbelievable. 64% of Latinos nationwide reported not being sure what the Democratic Party stands for. But just keep reminding people that they have to mindlessly, constantly. That's your only message to vote. Wouldn't it be nice if one of these who did that?
I know well-intentioned. But wouldn't it be nice if they got a little bit more informed instead of every time they they urged people just to vote. Instead, they urged the people who want to represent voters to actually represent them. Hey, offer the people Medicare for all. Hey, offer to end the wars. Let's get politicians who want to end the wars and offer Medicare for all, and then we'll see how many people turn out to vote. How about that? You want to get voter participation in an uptick? How about you put pressure on the fucking representatives to actually represent them? No, everybody gets a pass. The whole goddamn party gets a pass. Just vote for them. Why don't you put pressure on the goddamn party? That's what we're doing. So, fortunately, I guess, unfortunately for everyone, but fortunately, that leaves a big lane for the Jimmy Dore Show. A big, big lane for us to remind our Democratic politicians to represent the people who actually vote for them. That's our lane, and there's not a lot of people in it.
Let's lead with our values.
It's like, he did it again. That Lawrence Steinem video, I'm not kidding. He's trying to give a pep talk.
Tom
Perez is trying to give a pep talk. He to people who are on his own side. To people who are working inside campaigns. He's trying to give them a pep talk. I'm sorry, Steph. And he literally says, when we put our values, we lead with our values. But again, when they are trying to articulate their values, they're all platitudes.
Someone just mentioned in the top chat, they were saying, what celebrities have come out against war?
Right? What celebrities? Who's out there screaming to end the wars? Nobody. They're all screaming that Trump should bomb Russia more. So, Glenn Greenwald says this. Why is Bolsonaro different? Well, first of all, here's the mentality of Bolsonaro. It's much different than just your regular right-winger. Even Marine Le Pen in France, even is frightened of this guy. And here's what Glenn says about him.
There's one that says we have to.
So here's what is the mentality? He has a mentality that says.
There's one that says we have to use authoritarian, even fascist power because the communist threat is real in Brazil. He believes that Venezuela and Cuba and North Korea are coming to Brazil in the form of the Brazilian left, and believes that the methods used historically against that, mass killings, torture, imprisonment of dissidents, the closing of media outlets, are warranted, and he said that explicitly. So he comes from a much different lineage.
So he's going to do all this under the guise of fighting communism. And who's a communist? Well, I don't know. Are you an environmentalist? Communist. Are you for a worker? You're a communist. Are you a unionist? Communist. So he said he wants to cleanse the country like they've never seen before in Brazil of these leftists. Under the guise of fighting communism. So anybody that's to the left of him falls under that. And he's willing to use all those unbelievably fascistic tactics to do it, including torture.
Now, the question is, why did Bolsonaro win? This is not a far-right country. To the contrary, this is a country that in the past 4 national elections has voted for a center-left political party that was born as the Workers' Party, which is its name.
So they're called the Workers' Party, but they're known as PT. Okay, there you go.
It was founded by a labor leader, Lula da Silva, who came from extreme poverty, and his predecessor as the president of the Workers' Party, who also won twice, was a former Marxist guerrilla imprisoned and tortured by the military dictatorship, Dilma Rousseff, who was president until she was impeached in 2016.
So they're very left normally, this country. That's what he's saying. That's the point. So how do they go from that?
In Brazil, a country traditionally on the center-left or the center, turn to such a far-right extremist? And I think that obviously some of Bolsonaro's support comes from sympathy with his more racist, his more misogynistic, his more xenophobic, his more hateful, his more homophobic comments, but only a portion of his vote total is accounted for that way. A huge portion of his vote total which is necessarily true if you want to win a Brazilian election with 55% of the populace, comes not from rich, white, hateful people, but from working class people and black people and poor people and LGBTs and women, people who have decided not that they suddenly are fascist or that they are supportive of bigotry and hatred against marginalized groups, but who voted for him despite that out of desperation and hopelessness and a belief that the ruling class has become so detached from their concerns that they have nothing but contempt for the vast majority of the population, and therefore the vast majority of the population have decided to have contempt for that ruling class, for that establishment, and have run into the arms of the person who successfully portrayed himself as being the enemy of that establishment class. And
so you have to carefully listen to what he said. They went to the person who successfully portrayed himself as being an enemy of that establishment class or that elite class. Just like Trump successfully marketed himself as an enemy of the establishment, even though his whole cabinet is filled with establishment people from the Pentagon, from Wall Street. So he was, even though you're not, they successfully portrayed themselves, and it works because the people are so sick. Or as Thomas Frank put in Listen Liberal, their stomach churningness of the liberals. They're so sick of them that they'll vote for someone who says they're their enemy.
Threaten to burn it down. And that is the lesson that Western democracies and the world generally needs to take from Brazil. It is that when the establishment class fails a huge portion of the population for enough time and to enough of an extent, sooner or later, they will decide that it is the ruling class that is their enemy, and they will run into the arms of anybody who they perceive as being its enemy, who is threatening to tear it down.
So that's the part that all the celebrities miss when they tell people to go vote, go vote, go vote. Because the people who really need voting are a country that doesn't vote. And as we showed you before, those people voted before, and their lives got worse continuously. And that's why I say the answer to these people's problems is not voting Democrat. The answer to these people's problems is we have to overthrow this fucking establishment somehow. We need a non-corrupted party. And a lot of people are trying to do that from entering the party from inside. I happen to, again, I vote for progressives wherever they are, but I don't think that strategy is workable. I don't think you can have a revolution in a counter-revolutionary party. And that's being borne out, I think. Only 2 corporate Democrats primaried this entire year. 2! So,
Our guest is here just so
by the way, I love that we could hear the dogs barking in the back.
Yes.
So let me finish this and then... And so, I mean, this is that they're missing. With what there, I mean, every time you see us, they tell you to vote. They're missing that the people don't feel like the people they vote for represent them. And why do they feel that way? Because they actually don't represent them. We have a supermajority Democrat in California. Supermajority California Democrat and a Democrat governor, Jerry Brown, and we're this fifth largest, right?
Yes.
5th largest economy in the world. Can you believe that? In California, 5th largest economy in the world. Supermajority Democrat, the Democrat governor, and we still don't have Medicare for all in this goddamn state. And we still don't have free college in this state. We still don't have a ban on fracking in this state. We still have an unbelievable homeless problem in this state. We have a housing crisis in this state. So this idea that when celebrities say make sure you vote, how about again you take some time out to go, hey, how about we make sure we have a responsive a political establishment? How about that? How about that's why people don't vote? How about that's why You have to keep begging people to vote because their fucking politicians don't represent them. And this, again, he's trying to urge, he's saying the lessons that needs to be learned by Western democracies. You know, we had on, now I'm blanking on his name, the Scottish political scientist who said that Trump is not a local event. That Mark Blythe. You know, Mark Blythe says Trump. This is a non-local event. Brexit is also the sign of this. These are people sick and tired of the establishment and either not participating. You got 33 million people didn't vote in Brazil.
Wow.
And the guy ended up getting 10 million more votes.
That's a big part of why Donald Trump is president, a big part of why British voters decided to leave the EU, and a big part of why far-right extremist parties are thriving, not just in Eastern Europe, but in places where in Western Europe, where previously that was unthinkable, because the establishment refuses to take any accounting of its own failures and refuses to accept any blame. Instead, their strategy seems to be to call the people who are voting against them all kinds of names: racist, primitive, troglodytes, fascists. And even though in some cases it might be true, all that does is exacerbate the perception that the establishment class hates them, and therefore they should hate the establishment class. And until we start to understand why this cultural and economic and political alienation exists to such a powerful extent, and why it's spreading and growing, we're going to have far more Donald Trumps and far more Brexits and far more Jair Bolsonaros in our future, and probably worse ones to come. The easy solution, which is to blame everybody else and to call names of the people who voted the way that you think was bad.
Which is what everybody's doing on the left, except for progressives. The easy solution, blame everybody else, call people names who didn't vote for you, and hope that same strategy works in the next election. Or
is the exact one that will ensure it will continue. The much harder course is the one that's needed, which is for elites in these countries to start to examine their own policies and their own mentality and understand how it is playing a central role in driving what are truly dangerous and even terrifying political phenomena.
So, when you hear him say that, doesn't that just resonate with you? Instinctively, you know that's the truth? Or it's racism and sexists, and we just elected a black guy president twice in a row. But we couldn't elect Hillary Clinton because of racism and sexism. God damn. So doesn't it resonate with you that's, and there's been no autopsy. I remember at least the Republicans did an autopsy. They didn't follow it. They didn't need to, turns out, because the Democrats were fucking worse than them. When they lost to Barack Obama twice, the Republicans freaked out, did an autopsy. We're the Republicans, we're losing to black guys. So they did an autopsy. Their autopsy said, quit being so racist. Trump said, no thank you, doubles down on it. The Democrats are so inept. They lose to that strategy, which the Republicans have already figured out was a losing strategy. Turns out the Democrats had a more losing strategy. Offer people and keep offering them nothing. Barack Obama was nothing in a different package. People voted for it. Hillary Clinton was nothing in the same nothing package. So, and okay, so so just remember that, and remember this. So the blame for elections lies with the political parties and the elite. That's where the blame lies. But voter shaming, which just ensures you more of the kind of shit you don't want, has been the tactic of everybody since the 2016 election. Nothing but voter shaming. And it's funny, even people on the left don't realize How many people don't agree with their voter shaming? That the people found out that when you criticize, it was funny to see that happen when you criticize, when you voter shame this show, and you're on the left, a lot of your own people think exactly the same way. And so instead of having a constructive dialogue and again reaching out to people on the left, when you punch left, it fucking backfires on you. It doesn't ever have the desired outcome. So this is exactly, he's exactly right. It exactly resonates. When I heard him say all this stuff, and of course he's Mr. Smarty Pants, and he knows how to talk more betters. So I just let him say. So okay, this is a lesson that people are not learning, and why? Because the neoliberals don't. If they learn this lesson, it's not good for them. Oh, you mean we should have unions and we should actually do stuff for people, and we should actually have, instead of global neoliberal economic policies, we should actually try to build up socialist safety nets, and we should actually empower workers, and we should share the profits. Yeah, that's what that means. None of this matters because climate change is going to kill us all anyway. Again, this is almost all. Neither party is going to fix climate change of the major parties. The only one that would do that right now is the Green Party. And you're not going to get it done by fucking tax credits. What that says is, oh, we'll incentivize the market. And then the market will on its own fix climate change. Is that ever going to happen? You have to have a concerted, centrally planned takeover of the energy infrastructure of the entire world. That's not going to happen. In fact, this guy in Brazil is going to, so they're just going to accelerate.
I was I haven't seen it, but I heard this. I wanted to go see it. I've been sick. But I heard Michael Moore's movie is basically the TV version of this show. That's what people have described it to us. Points out everything that how the Democrats have let us down. What Thomas Frank didn't listen liberal. So I read Listen Liberal.
So anyway, so get back to your Emma Williams' question. He says have a. Is there any possible way to get him on the show to explain Michael Moore? I don't think Michael was. I exist. I have tried to out before. Again, I'm sure he has made a request. I miss my emails, so no get off my nose by her. But we have Michael Moore on. I'm big in my. I mean, I think he's articulate. He's in touch with the working class, even though he's been, world famous movie mouth for 20 years at least. And what did he do? Roger and Me. That was his first big. And that was a great movie. He does great. So I'd love to have him on, even though I sometimes disagree with tactics. We have the same goals, I think. So let's go to Joseph Ball, and he says first, that Congress phase out of oil industrial farming but they're not going to do. The DNC lifted the rules that they couldn't take mud fossil. Now they're doing it again. They got that rule. That's why I'm saying the Democratic Party is not your answer for fucking climate change. How many progressives successfully primary corporate Democrats? 2. So, legal agreement. Yeah, if they ran on that platform, Joseph Ball, they would win. They're not going to run on that. Federal Voting Rights Act, legalize marijuana, grant citizenship to all undocumented. Well, you can't do that. You can't just grant citizenship like a blanket. But to fund Yemen war, yeah. So I agree with you, Joseph. If they should, you put should in capital, of course. Of course you should.
Jimmy, will you do me a favor and put your beautiful logo on? And the next one is from Sage and Full. Hey, thanks everybody for showing up today. We've got some great people watching right now, and a little ruckus on the top chat. Okay, Jimmy.
Oh, really? It's a
yeah,
ruckus?
there always is.
How's the feeling?
Yeah, people are emetic and just like screw this shit. And it's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? You need a teacher to come in and handle it? I'm not going to.
People love that attention.
Jeez. Jimmy, what do you think of uniting the left and right with a progressive for president and a libertarian for vice, and a progressive policy and a libertarian for... What do you think of that?
I'm all for that.
It's just that easy. Noah, please have Michael Hutton on to talk land value tax. Interesting.
That would be, you know what? That would be interesting.
No, Michael Hutton.
If we actually had a progressive running for president, and he picked a libertarian for vice president, and we're going to have a libertarian foreign policy and a progressive Democrat. Well, I think a libertarian foreign policy is not an interventionist, correct me. So I like libertarians' foreign policies. Don't much like them. Line up foreign policy.
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, as far as non-interventionism, okay,
so let's
Oh,
go.
and I just saw somebody in the top chat said, let's talk about true Americans like Ralph Nader. Well, let you know that Ralph Nader reached out to the show, and we're going to try to figure out
Yes.
when he can come on, right?
They sent us a book. I think they sent it to the P.O. box.
Okay.
Have you checked
I'll pick it up. I check it every week, so I'll go back. It might not have been there on Thursday when I was.
This Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, they said it was delivered last Saturday.
Well, let me look. Let me look on. I didn't see a Ralph Nader book
No,
yet.
I mean, I'm saying maybe it didn't get delivered. It came supposed to come UPS.
Okay. So, will the border troops be there permanently?
No, that's a selection stunt.
Okay.
In fact, Caravan isn't even scheduled to be here for elections.
Pascal, there's no way that we would be able to process it ever.
Oh, how could you ever send people?
What the fuck?
1,000 people. Of course we can process 1,000 people. There's no way, Jimmy. There's absolutely no way that they'll be able to jobs program to be able to process these people. David H says, hope you're feeling better soon, Jimmy. I know all bronchitis can be, and let alone have an ear infection at the same time. Wayne Chapman said, enjoyed meeting Ron Graham last night.
Oh, they did their sold-out show.
You
in
should all come
Sacramento.
to Saxtear. We will. My friend Jerry booked talent 5 Bernie rallies 2 years ago. He could hook you up with a sweet gig
Who's
here.
Jerry?
Hey Wayne, send us the email at Jimmy Dore membership.
I used to play.
gmail.com.
Yeah, send us the info at jimmydorcomedy.com.
Ben T says, feel better, Jimmy. Keep up the good fight.
I played Sacramento. I used to play. I played I forget what the name of it was, but it was run by this guy who looked like Newt Gingrich and had a worse personality. And then, but then there was a last punchline. That is hot. I remember that. It's, we don't go. No, that's what.
What's apparent to me already is that there isn't a progressive takeover of the party happening, even though we want it to happen. There have been some progressive reasons like Bernie got, but outside of politics, I mean, electoral politics. So I think the biggest surprise electorally could be Tim Canova. If Tim Canova beats Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that will be a shockwave because he did it from outside the party. And that, to me, that's the one well, first of all, that's the most important race, I think. And because it would just change things. It would change things, and finally somebody would be punished for being a corrupt corporate liar who cheats. Not cheats on your behalf, cheats to screw you. So to me, if that happens, that would be the biggest surprise. That would be the biggest shocker. Debbie Wasserman Schultz being knocked off by an independent.
That would be huge. That would have long-lasting reverberations for the cause, and I think it would really continue to inspire the momentum to 2020. I mean, we gotta help Tim Canova because he is right there to seize this opportunity and lead.
Also, but again, getting back to my earlier point is that I think the surprise to some, but maybe they won't. I thought that it would, being elected, make people wake up more inside the party. Made a lot of people more awake, for sure. I wonder if people are awake to the fact that the Democrats 100% supported that horrible war budget they gave Trump. I wonder if that's known. But anyway, I just spoke to. I forget my point now. I don't know what my point.
Well, we were talking about any surprises on Tuesday.
Oh, so I think the surprise, hopefully, will be that people realize, oh my God, progressive takeover isn't actually happening inside of our party. That now, even if the Democrats take over, it's not a progressive takeover. It's a reactionary takeover of people who want to revert to the previous status quo, which is Nancy Pelosi. She's already endorsed PAYGO, which you know what that means. That means you can't do anything progressive. She's not for single payer.
Charles Patrick says Dems are fucked for 2020 if they re-elect Pelosi as Speaker.
I mean, they are fucked. She's unbelievable. She's as unpopular as Newt fucking Gingrich is to Democrats. Why would you get, and independents. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, and progressives. It's just crazy. So again, let me try to say this. Let me try to get to this point, and the point is that I hope it will wake up people to the fact that we need another strategy. Because we don't have that much time. If we had 10 years to take over the party, I'd like, well, maybe we'll see. Who knows? But the DNC chair still flying around on private jets with the people who are enemies of the people. Still taking money from the people who are pushing climate change, or creating it, causing it. The fossil fuel industry. So hopefully that will be the biggest surprise, that people will realize that even if the Democrats take over the House, that this isn't a progressive takeover. That right now we have two, like the Justice Democrats, and I love the Justice Democrats. I mean the candidates running. Right? They don't take corporate money. That's awesome. And I wish they would all win. But a lot of them won in red districts. So let's see what happens. I mean, I'm pulling for them 100%. So let's see. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on progressives at all. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's trying to help progressives, but. Hey, by the way, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that there is a progressive wave somehow the Democrats become progressive when they take over the House. That would be great. That's what I'm hoping. Hopefully they don't re-elect Nancy Pelosi as their leader. If they get a more progressive person, that would be great. And maybe they actually do some things and start to turn the party. That would be great. I would be so happy if that happened. So I'm trying to be a realist. And I see how what Kshama Sawant says, that if you're for progressive policies, the road inside the Democratic Party leads to a graveyard. So we'll see. Again, they had all the Cory Booker. I just read an article about Cory Booker. He's in favor of censoring people. What I just read was that Cory Booker is not on board with BDS, and that he might even favor anti-BDS legislation. I just read this. So in fact, Mike McRae sent it to me, that article about Cory Booker. Wow. So anyway, let's get through the rest of the questions.
Okay, Costello says, my candidates all carry hot sauce with them. I'm not sure what that means, but thanks.
That means that Hillary Clinton said she carried hot sauce in her purse, and that was Chow Tilatino.
Oh, I love tacos. Vote for me. Ashley Cam. Jay, try some sodium ascorbate and medicinal mushrooms.
Yeah.
Jimmy is into shrooms. He wouldn't mind it. The DNC, okay, this is from Ronald and I loved it. The DNC called me for a donation.
Oh, shit.
I said I would donate only after they had banned HRC and DWS from the party and began supporting true progressives. Way to go, Ronald. Hollenbeck Charles, since it's been a few weeks, I'm just checking in. Are there any issues worth researching that you didn't have time to mention on the show? Always love to learn about new under-the-surface issues. It's hard. Hollenbeck, he's sick today. Sandra, Jimmy, if you're feeling better, will you be doing election coverage on Tuesday? Regardless,
Yes.
I hope you're feeling well.
Yes, but I'm supposed to be doing it with the Young Turks. There are 4,444 people watching.
I just saw that right now.
444.
Yeah, people are really,
4444.
Jimmy, people,
Oh, no, it's 4441.
Oh.
I got the 4441.
Jimmy, people, you were talking earlier about live streaming, how you really enjoy it.
Yeah.
People kept saying, please live stream more.
Okay.
I'm sure he will in 2019, ladies and gents.
I tend to get a little loquacious on the live streams. I tend to talk a little bit too much.
Predictions, 2018, D's flip new majorities with U.S. House and U.S. governors. R's retain U.S. Senate 50-50. Afterward, HRC breed of D's will assume they'll unseat Trump 2020, nominate another neoliberal for the President of the United States, and lose. You're right, Cool Blue. Jimmy, do you know anything about Governor, vote for Pritzker over Governor Rauner in Illinois?
They're both this is the billionaire race, right, in Illinois. So again, it's one of those things, 6 of one, half a dozen. I guess you got to vote for the Democrat, right? I don't even know if there's a third party running in that or whatever, but it's all wasn't it the most money spent in an election ever? It was on that primary. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
So it's gross what's happening to our politics. And
let me ask you one question. If Dianne Feinstein loses, what do you think? Will that have consequences? Will that matter to the corporate machinery? What do you think?
Do you think Kevin De Leon's going to vote against the military-industrial complex?
No. I see your point.
I don't. You tell me. Why don't we have a public bank right now in California? Again, we have a supermajority Democrats. Do we have a public bank in California? We have a Democratic governor, supermajority in both houses. What the fuck? Where's our public bank? We don't have that. We don't have Medicare for all. We don't have free college. We don't have a ban on fracking. We don't have a coherent policies to housing problems, or we got to put it on ballot initiatives. Why is repealing Costa-Hawkins got to be a ballot initiative again? Why can't we have rent?
In California, we have a supermajority Democrats. Why do we have to put this ballots? Go ahead, Steph.
All right. So these are live statements, so I'm going to go through them quickly. Toonsy says, feel better.
Thank you.
And Off the Road Trucker says, Colorado Prop 112.
Over the road.
Over the road. Colorado Prop 112 practically bans fracking Amendment 74. If you pass Proposition 112, the fracking companies can sue you. Check that out, Colorado. Cindy, stiff walker, another species of alien
cousin to Fast Walker. I'm not sure what that reference is. Toonsy says, feel better. Diego, we're working on it. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. Jimmy, you inspired me to follow my dreams after the video you did 2 years ago on Wells Fargo ads that said art wasn't a true career. Yeah, I remember that. Currently studying dance at a prestigious school. Thank you. Way to go, Luke. Jack, Bat Country, can you do more topics on socialism? Sure. David, somehow I can't find hope on my mail-in ballot. David, right? Propaganda, you for Julia, help us, join us in their live stream. Negold Cade, Jimmy, do you ever think about coming down till I'm too high right now?
Yes.
South of Athens, Georgia. Georgia, the That's why we still have every day for the war budget. Because we're all beholden to the same. It's not like it's 50 we can take over. It's not even close. Alright. Yeah. Mineral, not Main Street, thank you, Matthew. Clarifying. Marsh, thank you. Any updates on the show, Jimmy? It's not happening. Cindy, don't. What you do is far more valuable for your country than being a. Thank you. That was from Cindy. David, progressive advocacy tanks in the valley to volunteer or work. Anybody know? No. We'll look that up. There's different organizations, like, you know, there's all kinds of organizations. I don't belong to any of them. I'm too busy. Hey, you can find the DSA. You can find, I mean, I'm sure there's, we went to a thing, remember when, what was her name, when she was running for Senate, we went to all these different organizations that have the, you know, like, meetings, like the East Side Democratic. Remember that? We went to one of those. You know this thing existed. There's a couple hundred people in a room. Like, what? I've been in politics, but I've even heard of this organization. So there's all kinds of organizations, you have to find them. They weren't the most progressive, deemed progressive. They were grassroots Democrats, and
they definitely were. So, Omar, if I had to stand for Dems, you should marry against Jerry Brown for governor. You would wipe the floor with that meal.
Jimmy, it is for. I'm just gonna read the people that donated because we gotta wrap this up for 30 minutes. Okay? No, let's just put a cutoff time and then read everybody. The cutoff time is 14. Robert Leland. Thoughts on Peter's Island gifs? Are churches and families socialist groups? It was just thoughts on high geopolitical shifts, question mark, families, quote, voluntary social groups. Oh, okay.
If Beto took money from Exxon, AT&T, and Bank of America, do you think he's squeaky clean?
No, I have. Beto O'Rourke clearly better than Ted Cruz. But you know, a lot of work to still be done on it.
Yes, agreed. Pedagogy Games, thank you. Jerry says, please come to Buffalo, New York sometime. Big Baby Zuba says, Democrats more like diet Republicans.
No shit.
Mateo, the movement needs a systemic analysis if we are to win. Movement for a People's Party is bringing that much-needed analysis, and after today's election, hopefully we will focus our efforts on movement for a People's Party. Thank you, Mateo.
I'm with you. I mean, the effort has always been that the mission is trying to, how do we unite progressives? How can we figure out a way to unite progressives? I think, you know, the unions really need to get involved in third-party politics. You know, what if the unions started to endorse Green Party candidates? What if the unions started to endorse independents like Tim Canova and people in the, you know, so I mean, we really, that's a great, so, yeah, go.
All right, I have two more statements. You know it. You know him as Matt. Serge Jacques Sosaring Venus Project. Thank you for that, Matt. And the last one is, do you think Elizabeth Warren
Slash split 2020, do you think they lack the ego to be able to step aside and pop VP?
Predictions. There's a lot of predictions. I think what Elizabeth Warren is going to get in the race to split the vote. I mean, I don't know if that's the purpose. I have a, you know, that very well could be the purpose.
Because, well, Elizabeth Warren, anyway, we'll see what happens.
Okay, Richard Mays just said, went to a DSA rally in New York.
Oh, great.
In support of the caravan. Support for immigrants, and justice. Thank you for doing that. And that wraps up all the comments that we have. Thank you for everybody who donated today. And you were also weighing in on the chats. We try to respond to most, if not all, of your comments and questions, ladies and gents. And I think that wraps us today. Jimmy, how do you want to end it?
I just want to thank everyone who's a patron for being a patron, because we couldn't do the show without you, and that's why I did this today. Even though I'm under the weather, I wanted to make sure. I feel like we want to let you know we're appreciative and we're grateful for your support, because we are, especially now. And you know, who knows what's going to happen going forward. with all the censoring and all the everything and blah blah blah. But thank you for sticking by the show. All we do is try to tell the truth from our point of view, and we're anti-war, we're pro-peace, and we're for the people. So
Proudfoot says that we need more unions and more bowling leagues.
more bowling leagues, definitely. I love bowling. So thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. And on Tuesday, I'm going to be over at the Young Turks, so we won't be live streaming here. But maybe in the future we'll be on the election days. We'll see. Okay. Thanks for your support.